That one just kind of had me sitting there completely decimated by the intensity. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Molly and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album City by Strapping Young Lad. Now Strapping Young Lad is a band that has been suggested a decent amount here on the channel. I would say their second studio album City is probably the most requested. This album they released in 1997 and yeah, I have no idea what I'm in for. I've never heard anything from Strapping Young Lad before, so I'm excited to give this one a listen and see what I'll think of it. Alright, so starting City off is track 1, which is called Velvet Kevorkian, if I'm saying that right. Okay, certainly a pretty heavy start here. There's something almost like machine gun fire about this percussion. Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick. It kind of just flowed right into the second song, but that was track 1, Velvet Kevorkian. Just such a crushing introduction to this album, that's for sure. Something very militaristic about it. It kind of sounded like an army marching, and I mentioned the percussion sounding like gunfire too. And I was loving too all the electronic stuff I kept picking up in the background. It makes me certainly intrigued to hear the rest of this album and see if they're gonna incorporate a lot of electronic elements on it. But continuing on with track 2 is All Hail the New Flesh. Dang, that was a really impressive vocal delivery. Man, there's just so much energy. It's like this tidal wave or this floodgate of sound opening up. God, I love their vocalist. He's got this really smooth clarity to his voice, even though this is such a heavy track. It's just got this really clean delivery. These drums, they're so unrelenting.
Well, gentlemen.
Okay, another seamless transition into the next song, but that was track 2, All Hail the New Flesh. Just unbelievably heavy. Like I mentioned, it was just this wave of sound coming at you. His vocals to me are so impressive. Whoever their lead vocalist is, the way he holds his notes and extends those vocal deliveries for so long is just incredible. I'm loving too the industrial tones on this album so far. All of the electronic kind of machine-like sounds going on in the background. It's adding another element of heaviness to this music. Alright, moving on to track 3 is Oh My Fucking God.
A great deal of money has been invested in this project, and we can't allow it to fail.
That was kind of a cool effect. It's like the song just stopped for a split second. These vocals, they're going crazy. some interesting tones going on in the background. It kind of sounded like laser beams or something going off. Just when I think it can't get any heavier. Was a cool sound at the end with those electronic beeps going on, but that was track 3. Oh my fucking god. Very appropriate track title, that's for sure. That one just kind of had me sitting there completely decimated by the intensity. It was like this whirlwind of sound just kind of carrying you along, and there was a moment there toward the end of that track where the drums really stood out. They were just being played so rapidly. But I'm going to move on to track 4, which is called Detox. I love when his vocals come in like that. They just kind of pierce through all of that instrumentation. They've got such a cleanness to their delivery. I liked those little sound effects they sprinkled in there. Something kind of electronic, again, about their tone. Okay, this song just changed up. It's almost like it started just crashing down with its sound, like everything was falling apart. Alright, we've got a second vocalist bringing a much more melodic touch to this song. Those guitars, man, they're so speedy. That was track 4, Detox. So much variety on that one. It started off with that really atmospheric, kind of movie soundtrack-esque start with the talking vocals and everything. And then the song just ripped open with all of that intensity. I love too how they kind of changed up the rhythm a little bit later on. There was just a lot of switch-ups they did with that track. It really kept you on your toes. And so far I would say the band that Strapping Young Lad is reminding me the most of is probably Fear Factory. How they mesh those really smooth, borderline melodic vocals at times with just this driving intensity and like really fast rhythm to the song. In that sense, it's kind of reminding me of Fear Factory because they do that too with their music. All right, up next is track 5 called Home Nucleonics.
The beat starts here.
That delivery there of the word you when he said, I want you, that was crazy. It was almost like a wolf howl or something. There's something so threatening about the vocals on this one. What did I just hear at the end there? It kind of sounded like a trumpet or something. But that was track 5, Home Nucleonics. I mentioned how on that last track they were fusing like some borderline melodic elements with so much harsh intensity. And that one, Home Nucleonics, they definitely leaned more in the intensity side of things. And there's something about this album too that has such a cinematic tone to it with the samples and everything that they're using, something so atmospheric at times too. I love how they're fusing those elements on. Continuing on with track 6 is AAA. I love how this one started with those whispered vocals and then they just built the anticipation up. Just there, that vocal delivery kind of had this little melodic touch to it. Kind of unexpected. It broke up this really driving intensity. I love the vocals kind of echoing off really faintly in the background. It's like you're in this big open room or something. This whole album has had this really cool kind of atmospheric echoey quality to its sound. That was track 6, AAA. I love the contrast on that one between the whispered vocals at the beginning and then again at the end, and then all the intensity raging in the middle. And that song too had this really great smooth quality to it, even though they're so harsh with their delivery and it's just an absolutely brutal track. They kind of have this way of streamlining it that makes it almost danceable or like really catchy to listen to. I think it's really impressive how they're doing that. Up next is track 7, which is called Underneath the Waves.
Geological event of cataclysmic dimensions.
That guitar, it just had such a sludgy sound to it. That was cool. Now tonally it's almost like the sun kind of piercing through. There's almost a little bit more warmth to the tone of it. The song has kind of a stretched out quality to it. You've got so much intensity and a rapidness from the drums and the guitar, but the vocals and everything kind of have this calmness to them, just with how he's drawing out those words. Okay, interesting ending there with someone laughing, it sounded like. But that was track 7, Underneath the Waves. They've used a lot on that track. At one point it sounded like an organ or something, and then again with the ambient effects and sort of this cinematic quality to its tone as well. And that one really leaned into the contrast of the light and the heavy. You had so much intensity from the instrumentals, but then with that organ sound I mentioned, and at times his vocals too, they almost had this really open, drawn out, kind of soothing quality to their tone. But I'm going to continue on with track 8, which is called Room 429, and on Spotify, where I'm listening to this, it says cover version, so I'm assuming this is a cover of another band's song. I don't know what band that would be, but yeah, let's give this one a listen.
What you don't understand.
Is this the same vocalist? It almost sounds like a different singer. It almost sounds like Mike Patton a little bit.
'Cause you've been to the past. Up here in room 429. Take you to that empty room tonight.
I love that keyboard that they're using. Again, it's kind of adding a little bit of a melodic touch to this song. Man, the drums on this one just have this really intense sound to them. Well, that was track 8, Room 429. I didn't recognize that song, so I don't know what band they were covering with that one. It kind of reminded me of Faith No More a little bit, though. Something very theatrical about its delivery, and like I mentioned, his vocal tone on that one almost reminded me of Mike Patton a little bit. I'm assuming it's the same lead singer as they've had on this whole album. If it is, that's really impressive because his voice changed up so much on that one. It still had that intensity and kind of these lower, almost guttural vocal deliveries at times, but definitely more melodic and a little bit more pulled in on that track. But moving on to the last song on City is track 9 called Spirituality. Man, there's such an immensity to this one. It has such a big sound to it. I love the whispered vocals. Just something so ominous about them, and they're kind of being drowned out by the instrumentals too. It's like you can't really hear much of what he's saying. I love how they have the vocals echo like that. It's just creating this amazing atmosphere.
Strapping young lad rocks my hairiness.
Alright, I guess we got a little surprise there at the end of that track. I decided to let it keep playing because the song faded out at about the 6:15-ish second mark. And sure enough, we had a hidden little vocal there at the very end. Certainly their sense of humor shining through. But that was track 9, Spirituality. Something almost drawn out, really stretched out about the sound of that one. It had this amazing atmosphere to it. I liked too how fuzzy that one sounded. It kind of had this distortion at times to the instrumentals. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to City, the second studio album from Strapping Young Lad. This album absolutely blew any expectation that I had for it out of the water. This thing was absolutely incredible with how much energy they were delivering. So incredibly entertaining to listen to. They blended so many different elements on this album, and I loved the little electronic and like really atmospheric tones that they embraced as well. Track 2, All Hail the New Flesh, was definitely one of my favorites. That one was just such an incredible way to get the album started. So much energy. And then track 3, Oh My Fucking God, is probably one of the heaviest songs I've ever heard. That one was just absolute insanity in musical form. And also track 4, Detox, just had so much variety on it. I loved his vocals and how they kind of changed up the rhythm at times on that song too. But this entire album from beginning to end was absolutely wild. Such a blast to listen to. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I definitely want to hear more of Strapping Young Lad's discography, that's for sure. Let me know in the comments which of their albums I should check out next, and yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.